by Stage 2 champions, the New York Excelsior.
It's high noon.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Noon Podcast, the competitive Overwatch podcast. I am your host, the Blevins. With me, as always, is Deathblow. What's up, buddy?
Not too much, man. Just hanging out, taking a break from the pirate life, talking some Overwatch. Excited about it.
Yeah, we had to get off of our sloops and galleons to head over here and talk about an exciting week in Overwatch League. This, of course, is the end of stage 2, so this episode is our end of stage episode. We don't know how it's gonna go. Maybe it'll be a huge one. Maybe it'll be a short one. We actually started this one 2 minutes early. So after 110 episodes, the 111th one finally started on time.
Yeah, we did it.
We finally got there. But let's move in and start the show off how we normally do and talk about what the show and what the High Noon Productions has been up to this week. I believe there was another episode of Blackwatch Report recorded. Yep. Okay, good. I know that they switched up the days because Kyle was out of town. I believe he was at GDC. So we had that. We, of course, had an episode of Around the Payload last week featuring Thornrain, Totally Drunk, Ballmill, and the Monkey Prince. That was a really good one. And notably, I'm getting so close to getting to my goal of having the episodes be an hour long. I think this one was just a hair over an hour. We've got another episode coming up, which will be recorded tomorrow, and it's an entire mystery guest, an entire mystery crew. Who knows who will be on it? No, I'm really asking who knows who will be on it. But we'll have an episode for you for sure. Don't you worry. Of course, had another episode of Foul Play. This was the looking back on the stage episode of Foul Play. That's Fantasy Overwatch League play. I don't know. I know that you weren't having the giggle fest that A Smith and I had, but I feel like that was one of the best episodes we've had.
It was a really, really good episode. It was a lot of fun. It's always nice to take a step back and just kind of recap and actually look at some of the numbers instead of just spitting them out at you guys and letting you know what I mean, draw any correlations you want. The Giggle Fest was fine. I was just trying to make a point and didn't hear, understand, and I don't think you guys were actively trying to make a point.
We certainly were not.
It was just me competing to try to get one little tidbit.
I was just trying to get you to take a bad bet, and I figured that if I could get A Smith to gang up, it would work, and it didn't.
No.
I mean, maybe it did. Spoilers. But if you guys are interested in fantasy play at all, definitely take a listen to that one. And of note here is that over.gg is actually, they're starting to do stats for the matches. So maybe we'll see some more fantasy games out. I don't know. I have no insider information at all on that. I just know that they're doing stats, so who knows. And then I also recorded another episode of Ever Upward Show, which is the NYXL fan show.
Sure to be unbearable for everybody.
No, it was actually pretty quick. It's definitely, if you're not an NYXL fan, it's still
this episode unbearable.
It actually wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad. Wasn't it was actually a pretty short episode. Just because there's no preview. It's usually where, I mean, it's same for this show where the recap is okay, well, we're not going to go over every second of the matches because just go watch the matches. The preview is where the meat of the episode comes in. But yeah, definitely check that out. And guys, all of those have their own separate podcast feeds. So if you're using your podcast feed, and you're like, hey man, how come Around the Payload doesn't exist anymore? It does. Go search for it on your podcast feed. It should be there. One thing of note is that Google Play, for some reason, I'm having issues with the other feeds for Google Play. So if you are currently using Google Play and you're not seeing the other shows show up on Google Play, check one of the other, either use YouTube or try a different app for the time being. I'm going to get that fixed as soon as possible, but I can only do as much as I can do. I can't make something that's not working work unless they get it to work. So if you can't possibly wait, definitely check out on YouTube or use like Podcast Addict or just the iTunes app. Whatever tickles your fancy. But let's move on to talk about what we did last week. Deathblow, anything fun and exciting for you?
I've been a pirate like 100% of my available free time. That game has gripped me in a way that no game has in quite some time, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Overwatch was close, but it's not quite the same. Like this kind of had that, like, has that MMO grab that, like World of Warcraft had back when I was a freshman in college and stopped caring about my grades, stuff like that. So it's just been a whole lot of fun. I'm sure talk of it, like Clash Royale always has and Magic always, I'm sure talk of it will kind of bleed in, especially since I play predominantly with like Andres from Owl Recap and Omnic Lab and Blazin' Bob from Watchpoint Radio and Owl Recap. So like I play with so many Overwatch personalities that if you're watching any of their streams, my PC won't stream this game, especially. I think I'm like restricted to Hearthstone streaming if I wanted to stream at this point. And like if I'm not playing the game and I'm spectating, I can get away with it because the FPS drops don't drive me nuts and make me miss all my shots and everything. But yeah, so by all means, follow Blazin' Bob or I Play Games on Twitch, and I'm sure you'll see a bunch of us running around. So.
Yeah, I might get in the mix in there one of these times.
Hopefully
I definitely
someday.
Want to.
You like turned me on to this game. And I was so pumped because all the little goofy, stupid things you say that make me laugh always come out in the kind of moments that Sea of Thieves just inherently fosters all the time. Like the nice BGH in your hand idiot comment that like still cracks me up to this day. Like it would just be 4 million times.
It was one of the best comments I've ever made.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
But yeah, I have been pirating a little bit. My girlfriend got Sea of Thieves and she plays on the Xbox. And she doesn't have a mic, so it's like it's an experience to try to play like when half of the people don't have a mic.
Well, I think it would work if your PC was in the same room, right? Like,
it would definitely work.
If she ever like brought the Xbox over, I think you guys could make it happen. It'd be a lot of fun.
One of these,
still hear Discord and yell into your mic.
Yeah,
from across the room.
One of these days we'll get it to work. But yeah, I'm not as pro at the game as you guys are. But I don't know if Andres told you my pro strategy for hiding loot. Did he tell you? Did he tell you?
No.
Okay, you hide the loot up in the crow's nest. No one ever checks up there.
That's literally the worst place you can put it.
No, it's not. You can't see it. It's an amazing strategy. And you know why I know it is? Because I check up there and I've seen people do it.
I've seen so many times, like a couple times. I see it in my lens when I'm looking from like a map away. Yeah, like, I don't know. Maybe it's just in my head.
Maybe they changed it because I tested it with Andres the one time. Why are we even talking about this? Hide your loot in the crow's nest. Yeah, I just want to play right now. So let's grind through this so that we actually can play. And of course, move into my favorite segment of the show.
Overwatch Today, meme of the week.
That, of course, is the meme of the week. And you know what? New York Excelsior won the Stage 2 championship, so I get a week of just being unbearable, and everything is going to be NYXL themed. We have, if you guys noticed, we had the Buff Jonak meme, which was, there was the picture of Mickey, and he's flexing. This is from, like, Envious from, like, a million years ago. And someone tweeted out, I don't even remember who it was from, tweeted out, a picture of just the most jacked bodybuilder you can imagine with Jonak's face photoshopped on it. like side by side. It's like, if this is Mickey, then this is Jonak. And this week we got, I don't know if Pine made this, but he definitely tweeted it out. It's the same picture, but it's with Libero's face, because Libero was insane in this championship. He popped right off. That is for sure. And yeah, so definitely a funny one. I just love it's just so dumb that it's great. But let's move on. Oh, I knew I forgot something. I forgot to get the high news drop again, but it's high news. Man, I have the drop made. I made the drop, and just man, I'm
put
just
so much time and effort into the drop. It's such a shame that we don't get to
I know. I put a whopping 3 minutes into that.
Like
okay?
An entire syllable. You recorded a whole syllable. Like, that's crazy.
Would you believe me if the one that ended up getting recorded was the 4th take? Would you believe that?
Of course I would. Yeah.
Well, you're wrong, because it was the 7th. But let's talk about some of the stuff we had here. We have on PTR, on live PTR, we have Reaper and May buffs. And we're going to talk a little bit about these ones, because we're not sure if these are going to make it into, like, this potentially is stage 3 implications. I don't think we haven't been confirmed or denied that this could be live. It's unlikely, because they'll usually, well, I don't know. It's been almost a week that these have been out. It's possible that these could be stage 3.
It's definitely tough to tell without official word. I mean, they've already said they're willing to do things that maybe you think they wouldn't normally want to do.
Right.
If like every single team is fine with it. And personally, I don't think these changes are earth-shattering or meta-shifting or anything like that.
They're going to be less earth-shattering, because May is going to be freezing Reinhardt more.
Well, that's fair, if not a bad pun. But nonetheless, in addition to those 2 buffs, there's also a slight Zenyatta nerf and a slight Diva nerf.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just go through them very quickly, since they're not super intensive. But May's buff is the endothermic blaster will now pierce through enemies. So you can, like, the left click, she can now just like go straight through people and just hit kind of everybody. So if you're all lined up in a row, like, she can freeze the entire team. Again, I don't see this as like a big,
not huge,
unless you're moving, synchronized with your teammate, right. Like side to side. She's not going to fully freeze everybody, regardless. It's going to be more effective in something like a graviton surge. You know what I mean? If you get people grouped up in there, something along those lines.
Yep.
As far as Reaper goes, this is going to be a little bit more impactful. His Death Blossom now reloads Hellfire shotguns, and Wraith Form speed bonus increased to 50% from 25%. I know a lot of people didn't even realize the Wraith Form had a movement speed impact, and I used to have people asking me, like, why are you Wraith Forming out of spawn? And it's like, because I prefer to get back to the fight faster. People like didn't know it was there. So hopefully that's a little bit more noticeable as well. And there's this kind of cool interaction with him now. You can also cancel the Wraith Form whenever you want, which I think is probably the more impactful of the abilities.
Well, that is. But I feel like that's more like a
fast
quality.
Reload.
That's true.
Wraith Form cancel, I'm reloaded. And that's the cool interaction now. You can empty your clip, and you can Wraith Form, you can cancel it, you can empty your clip, you can Death Blossom, which will reload you, and then you can empty your clip. So you're going to have
and then Wraith Form again, I think
right, and then Wraith Form will probably be off cooldown at that point, depending on how long it...
There's a Reddit video that shows you don't have to reload if you have alt for up to like 36 seconds.
Yeah, it's definitely significant. But at the end of the day, I think the hero is still weak where he's weak and strong where he's strong. He's just maybe a little stronger at the tank busting role now, which is great, but it doesn't give him anything like you still can't answer a Pharah. He's not going to become a must pick.
Or, Pharah still gets picked off by Widow just as easily. Still
very counterable. So even if he becomes a much more popular choice in the scene, it's not going to, I don't think, shift things drastically. You just might see his counter picks played a little more. Now the nerfs, on the other hand, might do a little bit more. Diva, her micro missiles, the explosive damage is being reduced from 6 down to 4. just a little bit too much damage, I think,
Mhm.
from Diva. They're okay with her being a staple hero. I think they're not really trying to change that,
Mhm.
but they're just trying to give you a little bit more of an ability to make some swaps. Maybe just give you a tiny incentive to commit to the Zarya in the
Yeah.
composition on the maps where it's good, stuff like that.
I think they want to open up room for Brigida as well.
Yeah, there needs to be a little room in the metagame for her. And the more I play with her, the more I think, yeah, this is an off tank, and we should stop thinking of it as a support.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely not a support whatsoever. Like I played her as support in quick match with some people. No, this not.
the ultimate is a support ultimate.
Sure.
Like Rally is definitely a support ultimate, but the rest of the kit just screams off tank to me. So it's going to be really interesting. And honestly, Rally might be the best ultimate in the game. On like once she's fully added in and in comp and everything like that, we'll have to wait and see. But the effects of that ability are pretty crazy. And as far as Zenyatta goes, the secondary rate of fire for Orb of Destruction, which is the right click, is been reduced by 15%. Watch Jonak play if you want to know why.
Yeah. And he also I don't remember if it was a tweet or if it was a comment. He just said basically that he doesn't think it's that big of a deal. He just needs to get used to it. So
yeah, I don't think it's going to really do much to Zen on the overall. It's just going to maybe make him a little less capable of like, it's going to give like tanks a little bit more of an opportunity to like jump away or something like that if you're pelting them with 5 charged shots. But at the end of the day, most of the kills you're seeing with Zenyatta right click and stuff like that is just essentially headshots, right? Like you're picking off that tracer when she runs by the opening or whatever, stuff like that. So I don't think this is going to push Zenyatta out of the meta or anything like that. It might help bring Anna in a little bit more, but Orb of Destruction, to a lot of people's opinion, has been the best ability in the game for a good little while. So
yeah, it sure has. And I mean, it's like, yeah, they probably like, I think we haven't really seen Zenyatta be that unlocked and like see like the absolute like tip top of what Zenyatta can do like previously. Like we've seen good Zenyatas for sure, but like Jonak and to a lesser extent Jaehong, like man, does Zenyatta not seem fair when you're when put in those hands?
yeah.
So I think definitely a little bit of a calculated push there. The only other thing, I mean, I don't think that the Diva, I like the nerf here. I think it's going to open up space for some other tanks. I don't think it's going to change much. Zen, I don't think it's going to change much. Reaper, I don't think is going to change too much in pro play, but I do think it's probably going to be awful for low level play because people are already bad at countering Reaper, and also people are bad at playing Reaper, and this doesn't help you where you were bad already, but it's going to make people think that Reaper is better than he actually is. So it's probably bad for low level people.
Yeah, I think you're right about the lower end of things, but as far as the top end goes, like I just think he's a more effective counter play. He's not going to be a main pick or anything like that, but he'll be more effective when you want to go to him. And it's already happening a little bit. You know, maps, we look at what, Temple of Anubis, people really love Reaper to close out that
they
map.
did, but then they kind of stopped, which I think I think that's probably why we're seeing these changes, is because it's like, hey man, we found some spots for Reaper. Why did you stop playing him? It's like, well, there's better options. So
it was all about his ult before. Hopefully now it's a little bit more about his point and click, like shooting ability.
Yeah, for sure. We got some more official word from Pine about why he's been gone. Nothing really new here. He just kind of explained in greater detail about how he's been feeling, essentially, how he has just not been taking the whole experience as well as other people. The only thing that's really of note here is that for NYXL fans, he is been planning for stage 3, so that's good to know that he's been training and getting himself ready. I know they're going back to Korea. I think as we speak, they're flying to Korea right now, so hopefully that'll give him the what he needed to get back in the game, because I think, NYXL fan or not, I think everyone in the Overwatch League really wants to see Pine play, because he's just a spectacle to watch when he's on the stage. I don't think there's anyone that has played as little as he has that has had a bigger impact on people's fandom and allure for the league.
Yeah, for on the back of what it feels like 6 maps or something like that. Like he's mentioned at the top of the conversation for Widow players, McCree players.
Yeah.
So a huge impact player for New York, and despite their success this stage, it's always good to get impact players and add depth to your team and get that stuff done.
You want that close. You want that closer, even if you've got great starters. And then the last piece of news we have here is that Void officially transferred to LA Gladiators. So even more buffing for the Gladiators.
Yeah, and to be clear about this, there was no announcement from the LA Gladiators or the Overwatch League that he's been signed, but Void's old home, I think it was the Kongdu Panthera team, or the Kongdu
Cloud9 Kongdu,
the official name is.
Yeah.
Came out and said that we transferred him to the LA Gladiators. So I mean, that's
as official as we need
to sign the contract. Yeah, I'm willing to say that that's going to happen. It's been a hard and fast rumor for a little while.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one looks locked and loaded, and we saw what kind of impact adding a main tank player was able to have for this team if they're able to upgrade. And Bishu's been good. Don't get me wrong, all season, but it's oh my goodness, I'm blanking. iRemix. He wasn't bad in stage 1, but he wasn't fissure either.
Yeah,
you know what
need
I mean?
to be good. We're getting to the point where we're seeing teams upgrade here and push to that next level. And I mean, if you looked at maybe Shanghai Dragons is probably a bad example, but bear with me here. If you look at the Shanghai Dragons players on paper, they could be a good team. They're good. They could be good players. But that does not matter. And I mean, we saw that with Dallas Fuel, the whole first and 3/4 of a stage. A lot of really good players on that team does not mean that they are a good team in Overwatch League.
Yeah, it's a different conversation. All the players that got signed into Overwatch League, including the one on Houston that I rag on a ton, they're all super good Overwatch players. Let's stop kidding ourselves. But at the end of the day, we're talking about everybody needs to be performing that top 3, top 5 at their position in order for the team to really, really succeed. With you can have one guy that's maybe not up there, but with how small the league is, that's just what the best teams have. When you look at New York, top to bottom, with the only exception I would say is maybe main tank play.
But they're still very
and
good.
You guys are very good, right? You're just not in the
you're not Fate, Gesture, Fissure, Fraggies, Muma.
Yeah. I'm not putting Fraggy there.
I'm putting him in there.
How much better he looks and how much we particularly like the man.
Right.
He's on track to be up there, but he's he's just not quite there.
I play favorites.
Absolutely, 100%. And you would have never said that had one map gone differently.
Oh yeah, he'd be.
Wouldn't like Fraggy at all anymore. But nonetheless, this is I'm getting back around to the LA Gladiators here. This has the potential to kind of give them that next push they needed, and they did fall flat a little bit in the final week, as I'm sure we'll talk about. But it's just going to be interesting to see exactly what kind of impact they can have, especially for a team that we've already seen one piece significantly level up an entire tier, this team. So if one more piece does it again, we're talking about them right there with maybe not New York, right? New York's kind of setting the gold standard at the moment,
right.
X and 2 over 2 stages, or is it X and 3?
No, it's X and 2.
Yeah, X and 2. They got the
one loss to
Philly, and then the loss to London.
Yep.
So I will not put anybody in that tier until they go X and 1 on a stage. But they're going right into that London tier. Kind of a team like Houston was in stage 1. Whether it's a flash in the pan or not, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But going to be really interesting to see the Gladiators. If you weren't already very excited to see them going into stage 3, adding in a very high skill off tank and Void could just make it all the more interesting.
For sure. we might as well mention this. Someone brought it up in the chat. So Flower has now officially been signed to XL2, the New York Excelsior Academy team. Really not much else to say here other than this technically opens him up to be picked up by any Overwatch League team in Season 2. Not going to be eligible for any of Season 1 because of his age.
You nervous about that?
No. What
It felt like they had him locked up, like whether it was like
So-
legit or shady or not, who
Right.
knows? At the end of the day, it looked like they had him locked up. Now we know his contract has language in it that says can't be locked up, like under no
Right.
circumstances.
So let's just talk about this. Like, where does he fit in right now? Like, yes, obviously having an amazing player on your team is going to be good, and like adding more, but like, is New York the best home for him? Like, from his perspective, like maybe not, maybe it is. I don't know. Like, where does he see playing time? Or, where does, is he like just a different libero? Is he playing some tracer for SBB? Like, I don't know. And then where does Pine go? Like, if he's on there, where like, are they both like closers? I don't know.
That's my real concern is how does he fit in with Pine, right?
Right.
Because he feels like a Pine upgrade, which is terrifying. I've been saying forever, like
Right.
once this team adds Flower,
And-
we're all in a world of hurt.
Yeah, and like
But-
I get the sentiment, but like we literally haven't seen him play a game since World Cup. And like there's been a lot of change since World Cup.
He'll be playing a game very shortly.
He's playing a game tomorrow, so
to
that'll
a
be
contenders match near you.
we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see what he plays and how he might fit in, and we'll make sure. I mean, there's going to be plenty of Flower conversations leading into season.
Yes. But does it have me worried? Maybe, because I sure don't want to play against him.
Yeah, it feels significantly like the chances that he ends up elsewhere are higher, but I still think where he wants to play, at least before anybody's putting a contract with a certain number of zeros underneath his nose,
Right.
like that's where he would ideally
Right.
like to be.
I don't know. Like so like the next place that I would think he would maybe go to is like Seoul, and man, Seoul with Flower, that's tough. That's a tough team to play against.
I think any team with Flower is pretty tough because we've just
I don't
seen
know.
what he
Shanghai
can do.
Dragons. You think Shanghai Dragons with like as they are right now with Flower could compete?
I mean, maybe if they got all their additions,
full,
in
like,
and got
if
Undead and Dia back, and,
All
like,
of
had
their
everybody
whole
that's under
roster,
contract.
their whole roster that they have signed officially right now, plus Flower. Where are they in the league right now? Like, are they a playoff team
No, but they're like 4 wins, 5 wins
on a season or in a stage?
on the season so far.
Okay.
Through 2 stages.
Do you think they could be a playoff? Do you think they could be a season 2 playoff
That's
team?
literally
season.
infinity percent better
Yeah.
for anybody
Do you
trying
think
to
you
do
could? Do you think they can be a playoff team in season 2 if they had Flower?
You need a whole lot more than Flower. Like
Okay.
you need adequacy at the rest of the
Right.
positions in order for the team to like actually go in, and that's not something they have across the board.
That's true.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk too much about Flower. That's a Blackwatch report. For now, that's a Blackwatch report topic. We're
taking
sending
the Flower convo. For
Yeah,
you
we're
guys.
sending. Yeah, we're calling him up. We're calling him up.
1 year, we're going to be talking about him, and you're not going to be allowed to.
Yeah. No, we're sending him back down for now because he's too young. But we will move on to our speculation and gossip column, which is exactly what it sounds like.
We read you Slasher's tweets.
Yeah, this is the slasher syndication. I don't know. Actually, that kind of works because it is kind of like syndication. So this is the speculation / gossip with the working title of slasher syndication. LA Valiant signing Nene, who is currently on XL2, and shopping away soon in Unco. Some pretty big rumors right there.
We've had Korean leaks in the past, and they've been 100% accurate so far.
They've been a lot accurate. To say the least.
Maybe not 100%.
Not technically 100% because there were NYXL had a player that was talked about that hasn't come to fruition yet.
Gotcha. Well, we will keep an eye on that. But so far, they've not been wrong yet, but they haven't 100% been correct, right? Because the acquisition window is still open. So if NY signs that one deal, but these have been very, very good sources so far. They do peg Nene to the LA Valiant. Slasher kind of added in the internal turmoil, and it makes sense. It doesn't mean it's true. It's kind of like he did this with Boston a little while ago. Nothing really came of it. Doesn't mean he was wrong. It just means that like the trades that they were looking at, they didn't get the value they wanted. They decided to ride it out for the season or what have you. But it does make a little bit of sense with the Valiant, because they've been at times a hot team that was looked like a top 4 team, and then when you look at the standings on the season right now, we're looking at the number 7 ranked team. You cut to the playoffs now, they don't make it. Neither LA team would be in the playoffs right now if you ended the season at the moment. And there's a lot of people that evaluate those teams as playoff teams. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how things play out here. But there's even been specific conversations here. Like Slasher's gotten specific and said that the Valiant are in talks with the Fuel to trade Unco to the Fuel in exchange for Custa. Now, obviously, there would probably be monetary compensation going into this as well. We've had Silk Thread on stream go out and say that he suspects he's seen the stage for the last time in an LA Valiant uniform on his stream. So it's a really, really interesting position that's here, because there seems to be, not probable cause, but I don't know. There's plausibility to this. It seems like it could very much so be possible. And I don't know, if you're trading soon, you've got, Houston, like, hello, we still need a tracer, though. I'm giving up on that dream, I think. There's always home for tracer players. We saw Philadelphia this week make use of a second, like they have Carpe, and they found ways to use an additional tracer specialist to good effect. So it's fine to have 2 people. Like there's no right amount of tracer specialists I think that you can have, because you might want to have 2, and then if you want to back up for everybody, like what if Snillo was sick or Carpe was sick and you wanted to run the Widowmaker tracer combination, like so maybe teams want to have 3 people that can play it. Who knows? There's no bad number of tracer players,
especially with
except for 0.
0 is the wrong number. Especially with maybe with perhaps with Reaper coming in, maybe, or like Brigida maybe shipping or like moving the meta around and maybe making some other maybe McCree or something comes back. Who knows? Like we could see a whole heck of a lot of different combinations, and we've already seen teams be like, okay, well, this is our like 3rd comp where we're running Tracer Widow, or we're running Tracer Genji, and we need different DPSs for that, because they cover different things. Or like if maybe Blizzard World meta requires completely different comps on each of the points. That's a possibility for sure. That map is weird as heck.
5 support sim meta. I like it.
I'm in. Attack Symmetra, activate.
Only attack Symmetra. Like, it's not playable on defense on the map. It's only playable on offense.
No. Yeah. For sure. But yeah, this is some spicy gossip. For sure. We'll definitely keep you updated on this. I don't know. I can see it happening. I don't know. I don't really have a Blevstradamus here. There's no like effect for Miro, which I still think is not. I'm not.
It's
okay.
Still happening.
No. It's over. Don't worry. I'm not.
Dead.
Yeah, the meme's dead.
I wanted one more round of people angry in Discord. Like, it's never gonna happen. Stop talking about it.
People are so mad about that.
You're talking about it. That's why we're talking about it.
Okay, so what if? Let's see. You trade effect. No, I don't know. I'm not gonna try to come. If I already had done the Blevstradamus math and predictions, I would do it, but I don't have it done already.
Blevstradamus will have one more crack at coming up with a prediction, because I believe it was the 4th. I think it was April 4th. It could have been the 3rd. I'm not 100% sure that the acquisition period closes. So there's still a full week and a couple of days from the time of recording, which again is on Monday, before these talks do stop. So
we'll have another
not
episode.
A ton of time left. But
I'll come up with
one more
something.
episode. Yeah, one more episode where we're speculating on the last second deals and why Houston still hasn't done anything. So.
Exactly. But let's move on and nope, we're not breaking it down, but we are going to talk.
It's tournament talk.
We're already getting requests for a dedicated trade show and trade acquisition talk show. Not a bad idea. But we're going to talk about the matches, of course, for last week, and I will run through those ever so quickly because I haven't necessarily given up on the audio ticker, but I think there's a better way for me to utilize it. And once I figure that out, we'll start doing it. But starting off on Wednesday, we had Philadelphia Fusion kind of dream crush LA Gladiators 3-1. Florida Mayhem coming out and beating San Francisco Shock 3-2. Notably, this was Sinatra's debut here. But was not good enough. Florida Mayhem still looking good here. Houston Outlaws 4-0 versus Shanghai Dragons. No surprise there. Yeah. And then Houston Outlaws beating the Seoul Dynasty 3-1. I don't know if that would have. I don't know if that would have happened. Yeah, you got it. Don't know if that would have happened if it was Seoul with Flower. Maybe that's my Blevstradamus, even though I don't want it to happen. Actually, though having it be a Blevstradamus prediction means that it almost certainly won't happen. So maybe I will make that my prediction. Then we saw New York Excelsior beat Dallas Fuel 3-2. That was a sweat for sure. Boston Uprising beats San Francisco Shock 3-2. Seoul Dynasty beats Florida Mayhem 3-1. Philadelphia Fusion beats LA Valiant 3-2. London Spitfire defeats Shanghai Dragons 4-0. London Spitfire beat Dallas Fuel 3-1. NYXL beat LA Valiant 4-0. And then for the last regular stage match, we saw Boston Uprising dream crush the LA Gladiators 3-2. And then, of course, for the playoffs, we saw a 3-2 victory from Philadelphia over the London Spitfire, in no small part on the back of Snillo. And then we saw the Philadelphia Fusion come out to an early 2-0 lead, and then NYXL put their Libero pants on and did the full reverse sweep and ended up winning 3-2. NYXL are your stage 2 champions. Whew. Yeah. I love that the finals were double East Coast team. I'm happy to see that.
Our division seems to be crushing so far.
The stat was, I believe, the number 5 team in Atlantic Division is better than the number 2 team in Pacific. I think that's the...
in the top 6, the only Pacific team is the Seoul Dynasty.
Yeah, it's Seoul, and then the next closest is below the 5th place team. The
only Atlantic team that's not in the playoffs, if you end the stage right now, is the Florida.
Yeah, and they're on their way. Maybe. I don't know.
And honestly, it's almost like it makes it more impressive, the fact that that's true, right? Because and it hasn't really played into things too much yet because we're only halfway through the season. But they have to play within their division more often than they have to play outside of it. So these teams have a tougher schedule on the overall. We're, like I said, we're only 2/5 of the way, or half the way through the 5 weeks, 4 stages. I'll never get that right in my head. But once I start saying it out loud,
we're officially halfway through the season right now.
Yes, halfway point is here. So yeah, it's definitely going to be really interesting. But yeah, the right now the Atlantic Division has a little bit tougher road.
Yeah, so couple of topics here. I mean, obviously, New York didn't choke. Or I guess Luxury Watch Blue did not choke here. So meme is dead. NYXL is just uncursed, the best team in Overwatch League right now, best team in the world right now. I mean, what more is there to say there? Libero really seemed to come out. Libero really seemed to be the MVP of that Philly match. I mean, he was named the MVP, but just noticeably, I mean, when you're winning Widowmaker duels against Carpe like consistently, like that's a good sign for a player.
Yeah, Libero was a beast. Not too long ago and around the payload, Doa called him his actually both people in the final question called him their MVP. So it's, I mean, he's no joke. It's just crazy how good he is at every single hero in the game. Like there's just no exceptions to it.
Yeah.
He can do it. The only one I really question is the tracer play, but obviously not needed when you've got the best tracer.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've seen enough that, I mean, I assume he can probably do it. I just haven't seen it to know for sure. I mean, so
his flex support is not super great, as we saw in the preseason. It was fine. Not good enough to beat Soul. Which they have shown that they can do time and time again.
It was fine, and it let them play Pine, and I really only said that because they're
not too bad there. But we also saw, I mean, it seemed like maybe Snillo, for those of you who, like myself, are superstitious when it comes to sports, maybe Snillo is the breaker, the killer of Bad Philly.
Sure. I mean, we said that about EQO. We said that, and then they still had some kind of spotty performances throughout the stage. But what Philadelphia has done here, and really notably speaking, the biggest mark of improvement was somebody we talked about earlier, is Fraggy. I've been talking about it as we moved on throughout Overwatch League, how his Winston play is leaps and bounds better than it was when he was on Giganti, and when he previously before Overwatch League. It kept getting better leading up into OWL. And it's not stopped or even slowed down a little bit. Like he's getting better on the stage before your very eyes, and it's making a big difference for this team. And you can see it, and it puts them squarely in contention. I mean, to go up to 0 against the New York Excelsior at any point, and they're one of the 2 teams that have beaten the New York Excelsior.
This is the best. If this was a regular stage game, they win. They're going to end up winning there probably.
Would have been the same score, but I mean the maps would have been different. So I get your point, but I mean it was as close as you can possibly get. Forcing a team like New York to reverse sweep you. I believe they beat New York on a map they had yet to lose at any point during the stage. I can't
definitely
remember
did that to London.
My head. Oh, was that London where that conversation was?
It's definitely London.
But just a really, really strong performance from them. I don't know that Snillo's necessarily, what stabilizes them or anything like that.
No.
Did he play outside of Route 66?
Yes. He's played on Hollywood before, because that's where I think we originally saw him.
Well, his first time in, he was took the whole week from Carpe.
Okay, yeah.
This weekend, I'm trying to remember if he played on anything.
Okay. No, he did. I think he played on the first 2 maps that they beat NYXL, because then they took him out and they didn't win it.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, he played in the second one. I don't remember what map.
I think it was Lijiang. They
changed the order in the playoff matches when things appear, and it really messes with my ability.
It was definitely Lijiang, because Lijiang was the one that they lost. I remember Lijiang just being I just have it embedded in my brain that's where they lost map 5 in stage 1. Was on Lijiang, and I'm I don't want to be here. I'm getting triggered right now.
Gotcha. But yeah, I mean, Snillo did definitely play really, really well, and I think it's really notable on these players to make sure that they play as well as he did coming off the bench cold, right?
Yeah.
Because that's not something every player can do. I've talked about how it feels to me maybe like Jake's coming in a little bit too cold, and it costs them in his first map when they come in, and none of that with Snillo. It's more like the Gladiators situation is what we've seen on this small sample size with Snillo, where he comes in, he plays lights out, and then he's gone when it's not right for the competition, and EQO's back in. So if they can continue to do that with the same level of impact, it's only going to be huge for this team, because it opens up the door, especially going into what looks like might be Sombra Tracer meta, something like that. Typically, I think your Tracer player is who's probably inherently going to be your best new Sombra player.
Right.
So to have 2 of them and to keep one of them on it, in this case, I would guess it would be Snillo that would learn the Sombra role. So that way your tracer main and your tracer stud, who's more likely to be a constant across metagames, because except for been a constant in every metagame except for Owl Stage 1, is most likely to be the highest impact hero. So you probably want to keep your best player on it, is what I'm.
Yeah, for sure. And I had a point that I was going to make, but I don't remember what it was, so it probably wasn't that important. But let's move on. I mean, we could talk ad nauseum about XL coming through and winning the Stage 2 championship, but I kind of already did that on a different episode, so we don't.
There's a whole show.
Yeah, there is a whole show for fanboying and fangirling out. But let's talk about a couple other topics here. Mentioned it a little bit. Sinatraa is in. I mean, kind of got overshadowed, considering he has the same number of victories as the Shanghai Dragons, but he personally did pretty good.
Yeah, I thought Sinatraa played really well, considering it was his first time on that particular stage. That's an intimidating thing, considering he was on light scrim participation, presumably. Like, he's not, I can't imagine he's been their tracer player at all their scrims, all stage, everything like that. I'm sure I think Brad said they've been kind of rotating them in where they can, but it's been far from full time. So showed me everything I need to see to know he can compete at this level. I mean, I didn't really have any doubts of that going into it. I think I've been a Sinatraa believer for a long time, despite I called him a tracer one trick a long time ago and got a lot of flack for it.
Boy,
it wasn't meant as hate. It's just meant as, like,
if anything, that's a good thing now.
Right. Who doesn't want a tracer one trick? Like, I don't know that I want my tracer.
No one's talking trash about SBB right now.
Right. I would call him a tracer one trick. He's just there's nothing wrong with being the best at what you do.
Right.
And as far as Western tracers go, Sinatraa has long been considered that by a lot of people. Still got a little work to do to show that, but he's got the stage to do it now. He's able to play. And rip Baby Bay, who did not play very much as a result. There was a good amount of Dante and Sinatraa together, but it didn't really improve the shock leaps and bounds. And we talked about this previously. Tracer wasn't the problem for the San Francisco shock. Like, they were getting very good tracer play.
Sinatraa and Houston, though.
Dante. I mean, either one, I don't care. You can send either of them over to Houston, and I'll be a happy guy. But
it doesn't look like they're sending anything, though. It doesn't look like they're shipping either. I mean, you can get a discounted Baby Bay, maybe.
We're good. Nothing against Baby Bay, but got links.
Don't need them. Yeah, don't need them.
We're good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think Sinatraa is. I think he's going to make a splash. I just don't like. They're still. I don't know. I mean, Architect could be an interesting. Architect Sinatraa could be.
Super and Architect might not be as good at their jobs as Sinatraa is at his. Right? I don't think they're far. So especially Architect.
Certainly upgrades,
I think we've
though.
Seen him but they're going to have a larger impact on what this team can do and who they're able to beat and closing out matches. So I'm very excited to see Super again. Me and you have been big fans of his since LG Evil days.
Oh, since Hammers Esports days, even further back.
Hammers Esports, 100%. You've still got the Hammers Esports jersey around somewhere.
I sure do.
So, it's going to be great to see, and that will happen in the first week of the next stage. So,
okay, so he's back that early.
Yeah, he would be available, I think, this week if we were playing.
Gotcha.
But yeah, he should be week 1 of this coming stage. He'll be fully unlocked. So, San Francisco has played their last match with their current tank lineup. Yeah,
at least that's what anyone would imagine. So yeah, I mean, Shock are going to be in a good position. They're going to be in, like, it seems like almost the ideal position is, like, have 3 DPS so that you can rotate them and you can rotate them around and have the combination of play of heroes that you want. So I mean, it looks like it would be Architect, Sinatraa, Dante. So, like, is Baby Bay the new IDQD? Like, is that like, I still am kind of baffled as to what is the point of IDDQD for San Francisco? Like, what is his function?
This goes back to the conversation we had when they announced their lineup. It's like, did you count how many hit scan DPS players you signed?
Yeah.
Because there's no way you can use all these guys.
It would have been great if they hired all of the tracers. Like, that would have paid off probably.
Yeah, they could have done a lot of work trading them, but they're hoarding them already. You know,
right.
They've got plenty they're not letting go. But you guys can officially, with the architect thing coming to fruition, you can put your free IDDQD spam away. It's never going to happen. The guy's not going to.
Well, I mean, that's why you need it even more.
No, you can just put it away. It's just obnoxious now. And if I'm being perfectly honest, as hype as IDDQD is, and as great as a player he is, and as much as I want to see him, like, I think he's just kind of a poor fit for the meta right now. I think he was a better stage 1 meta fit than anything now, because McCree was more prevalent there, and he's a filthy McCree player.
Same with Grim Reality too.
Yeah, but he's just not the best Widowmaker, so he's not the best Genji.
Yeah.
And so there's just a lot of heroes in what's currently the flex DPS role that he just can't fill. And you would need to be, using him in a big rotation. And San Francisco, for the longest time, was against the rotation idea. And just played their starters. And then now that they're unlocking, they're kind of agreeing or acquiescing to running a rotation of sorts, and it still just doesn't make sense to bring the guy in. I mean, I don't watch his stream religiously. I don't know where his Tracer play is. I don't know where his Sombra play is, his Widowmaker, any of that stuff. But
Widowmaker is as good as you'd think it would be, but it's not godly.
Right. You've got to be able to compete with Fleta and Linkser and Pine and SBB, and you know what I mean, and all these tracer players.
Libero now, Carpe.
Libero now, right? Carpe. Oh my God, Carpe is ridiculous. You've got to compete with those guys, and that's just. I'm not sure that he gives the San Francisco Shock the best opportunity to win those battles. If you need to get into a Widow fight, that team's probably just going to want Baby Bay. He's just seems the best choice. Yeah,
I mean, and the other thing is like. And there's something that I'm missing here, because like, it's not like if you at the beginning of the season, if you could trade like at the very beginning and someone was like, oh man, we don't have a good enough, hit scan DPS. Like, you can ship IDDQD and his previous experience potentially is worth something. Now, like when was the last time he played on a stage?
Yeah, he's behind now. All these players that sat completely dormant are way behind. And need to do some catch-up work. And I think it includes, Super and Sinatra. So maybe I'm not expecting San Francisco to be at their top form, this first week coming back. But maybe by the middle of the stage, they've picked it up. They've gotten into a rhythm with their new players. It's going to take time to build those guys back up and get them in. There can't be much of a market to move him. That's why I didn't like signing so many to begin with. I'm surprised more teams haven't made moves to trim dead weight off their roster. Like, there's value, but I can't stress to you enough how valuable I think internal scrims are, and it's something Brad from San Francisco, their head coach, outlaid in a Reddit reply to a post. It's like, you are bad at, let's say you're bad at King's Row .1 attack, right? Like, you're just brutally bad at it. You're fine at the rest of the map, but like, what if your opponent doesn't want to play King's Row? What if they're not trying to learn that point, right? There's no chance they're going to repeat that point against you 17 times till you figure out the right way to attack it. But internal scrims let you do that, right? Like, you just tell them, hey, B team, this is what you're playing.
Right.
Every team really should be actively trying to fill that out. We're not seeing that, but the few teams that do have it are getting better and doing well, and I think that needs to be the goal for everybody, certainly in season 2. If you want to keep what's in house now, not let the secrets out, you know what I mean? I kind of get that, but at the end of the day, it's something you're going to do eventually, so why not get yourself there to be in the rhythm of it now?
So here's the thing about, and Boolanger in the chat kind of brings this up, and I think I agree here. I think a lot of the bench players, like the IDDQD, the Numlock, why would a team like if you think about it, like, those players are almost like they're like almost in a worse scenario than like contenders players. Like they're seeing the same amount of stage, but they're not playing. Like even if they are scrimming internally and like they get the whole out of game stuff. Sure, I'll give you that. But like they're not playing at a competitive level. At least in contenders, you're playing competitive matches. Like I guarantee you there's a difference between playing a contenders match for your week versus scrimming. Like there's just a different feel, there's a different level of competition, there's a different level of both teams trying. So like honestly, like signing players from contenders is probably even a better route than playing your bench players. Like they might be even more valuable to you than the bench players, as sad as that is. Or they might send people down if they can do that.
I understand the logic of it, but they're here because they've proved it already, right? Like you're in contenders to prove it, and that's less true now because of how shallow the league is and how much talent there, top tier talent there still is in the contenders talent pool. So it's a more valid point now, I think, than it will be in, let's say, 3 years when we're at 20 something teams.
I just think that I think we gave some of the teams too much credit at the beginning. Like the builders of the teams. Like obviously a lot of them have done a really great job. Like New York, Bare Hands Bare Hands, you know what? You did a real good job, man. But like some of the other teams, it's like, oh well, you know what? We're gonna do things this way or this way. Like look at like what like Kai Kai and Flame, like I'm sure like they probably had a thought process on how they're going to do this, how they're going to run the team, and it just got thrown completely out the window because that's just not how the rest of like not even the in-game metagame, the metagame of Overwatch League, like that's not how it works. Like you need to be playing players in different positions. You need to be like it's seeming like it's still forming now, but I think we've kind of seen like NYXL with like the Pine position of like and now Philly with like, oh, well, sometimes you need this DPS plays these three heroes, this DPS plays these three heroes, and this DPS plays these three heroes. We need to play two of them to get the heroes that we want every time. Like that seems to be almost how DPS is fleshing out here. So I don't think people predicted that going in. I mean, I mean, we even talked about it. I mean, I know I definitely dug myself into a hole thinking that like subs weren't really going to matter that much in Overwatch League. I certainly had that conversation for weeks, and then the Florida Mayhem proved me wrong time and time again. So I think there was a lot
subs and got good again.
Right, and exactly. So I was wrong about that. Okay, there you go. I was wrong about it. I think that some of the teams were wrong about it too. I don't think I think San Francisco and LA Valiant might be the ones that were. I think they signed an appropriate number of players, but I think they signed the wrong number of players for what they wanted to do with them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, every team's kind of got their own, and that's the beauty of it, right? Is that every GM has a different plan, every coach has a different vision for what he wants his team to look like, and how he wants to use everybody, and there's no one right answer, right? Because if you ask me even now, to this day, I'll say I think the New York XL are making a tactical error by keeping their roster small, but we know that that's Bare Hands' philosophy. If I need to put 10 players on my roster, I've compiled the wrong first 8.
Right.
Like he recognizes I need substitutes. I can't just have 6. I get that. And listen, well, who am I to argue with his results? He's clearly found the best 8 players he could have asked for, to bring in. But at the end of the day, it's not a closed conversation just because they're in first place, right? Because would they be 10-1 or to X-1 right now or undefeated still had they filled it out and gone 10 players? So it's going to be a long-standing conversation and a long-standing issue and a lot of fun to watch develop, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But I think each team has uniquely been wrong in their own way, and I don't think there's any exceptions to it. You know, when you look at the two you said, Kai Kai, that's a bit of a tire fire right now. I don't even know. We probably shouldn't really go too deep into that. That seems to be more of like a philosophical team atmosphere problem to me. They need an authoritative leader to crack the whip, knock their heads together, and get them to act like professional professionals that take their craft very seriously and who
Right.
desire to be champions. And then you look at Flame, who, to be honest, I think as far as teams full of Westerners, you know, they're doing the best job with the infrastructure. Everything they're building in Houston is phenomenal, in my opinion. Just got one player wrong, right? And like is maybe digging his heels in a little too intense on the one player, and the one, even if you throw out the player, right? If you wanted it to be a shared role, he missed because there's nobody that can really narrow down and do it. And you know, they're making changes right now and trying to work with what they have. It sounds like they're moving Linkser to the tracer role, letting him get really comfortable with it. And then there'll be, you know, times where they do.
That's just, it seems so bad.
It's weird, but they're going to do essentially what Philly's doing, and I think there's a decent chance it can work. But my problem with it is it takes time to develop a tracer specialist. And there's just,
and why clip the wings of such a
just
good like projectile player?
Right, and like last week, I mean, he's a very, I mean, his Widowmaker's not projectile. Like he's got plenty of hit scan, and there's no reason he can't play tracer. But I'd almost want him to do it more like, I don't know, it's weird, but I think they're going for something
like
similar to how Philadelphia is doing it, where but instead of Snillo subbing in, they're just, okay, Jake, this is the map, you play Tracer. Like he's not going to be off of it. It's just, if we want Widowmaker Tracer, there's no circumstances where Yuri's not going to be that Widowmaker, right? He's the best at it, so that's when you bring somebody else in. And in other maps, he'll be the Tracer.
It's just so weird. It's fine, but it's like I think of it like, imagine that SBB doesn't exist. Like it would be like asking Jonak to play Tracer. And it's a different situation because you'd be taking people off support. Like I get that, but like you have Jonak, who's such an amazing Zenyatta and amazing support, and it's like, well, he's the best player on the team, so let's have him play Tracer because we need a good Tracer player. It's like, yeah, but you're at the cost of what?
To me, it's more like asking him to play Lucio. Because Lucio is a character that is very high skill cap, right? Just, I mean, probably the highest skill cap of any hero in the game. There's so many things you need to track off, manage, and do simultaneously. So I get what you're saying.
And I'd argue that would still be a bad decision.
In the compositions where they're going to want a Widowmaker and they're going to want a McCree, it's not like Yuri's not going to be doing that, which is why I'm okay with it. It's just in the compositions where we're not going to see him mess around with Soldier 76 anymore. That's going to be Jake's hero. We're not going to see him mess around with Genji anymore. That's going to be Jake's hero. So they're taking things off of his plate to let him focus on the one, the specific role that they need, right? You're putting your best player on the highest impact position that your team lacks right now, which I like. And you're not taking him away from the things that he's better at than everybody else in the league. So I get what you're saying, but it's also
makes sense
like,
because you're putting the time, like going from Zenyatta to Lucio is a downgrade. But if you're going from Lucio to Zenyatta, it would make more sense. And that's kind of what the Linkser situation is.
Yeah, it's a little bit more like going in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. I've been convinced enough to at least not keep going on it.
I still think the right choice is just go sign Devin, or don't let LA sign Nene. You go get him, like, you know, something like that. But it doesn't look like we're gonna get that. So
who knows? But we kind of got, man, that like whole thing started just from Sinatra. We had none of that stuff written down. Hey, we're over an hour, so there we go. But let's start to wrap this one up here. Just a couple more things. Kareev mentioned that he actively wants to go back to support. So whether it was better or worse, that's probably what we're going to get. Opens up the door for agilities, I suppose. Or
sorry, just my revenge from
right. Yeah. No, agilities. I'm not going to go into it. Go listen to Foul Play if you want to hear the whole agilities
Didn't have the best
conversation.
week this week, but does look like he's going to be back in.
Yeah.
Probably on a bit of a short leash. I mean, you don't get to have too many performances like they had this week without seeing some changes, and that's why we're having the trade talk conversation, things like that. There's problems in LA, and you have to really sit down and dissect the actual gameplay footage itself to really know where that is. It's not always the DPS player's fault he doesn't get the.
Right, exactly. But last topic we're going to talk about here, we were talking about we were chatting about this in before we started the stream, and it was like, man, what's like the surprise of the stage here? And like, I mean, I guess you would, if you just looked at the results, you'd be like, oh, well, Philly getting to the finals is probably the surprise of the stage. That event itself might be a very surprising thing, but not Philadelphia as a team. They're not the surprise of the stage, I don't think here. They've kind of just shown, like they've shown that they're that good. They've just also shown that they're incredibly bad sometimes. They showed less of the bad this stage, I think. So really,
it was there. And there was maps that were bad. There was matches that were bad.
There definitely were.
Less.
Considerably less, and definitely at times it didn't matter as much, obviously, having really kind of come in the clutch at the end. And on the flip side of that, we saw both the LA Gladiators and Seoul Dynasty really kind of shoot themselves in the foot in this last week for the playoff contention. They were both the favorites to be in the playoffs, and neither ended up being in.
At times throughout this weekend, the Gladiators held their playoff destiny in their hands. All they had to do was go out there, and like they were able to control it, even if that sometimes means 4-0s are needed.
Well, I think if they win versus Philly, they are in. Yeah,
I don't think they needed to, 4-0 or anything like that. Was there a match against Philly on the week?
The very first was Philly versus Gladiators, and the very last was Gladiators versus Boston.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, if they managed to take down Philadelphia, then I think they would have just cruised, right? The score wouldn't have mattered, right?
Right.
But LA falls there, and you'd think, oh, well, that's how Philly got in. No, that just opened the door for the Seoul Dynasty. That just like rolled out the red carpet for Seoul to make it.
Yeah, easy. They're going to beat the downtrodden Houston Outlaws.
How could they possibly lose to Houston?
Oops.
I think to quote around the payload this past week, it was, well, Seoul's just going to easily take their two, so they're probably just going to be there. I think we even had a comment about somebody laughing after the fact about that. But yeah, Seoul decided that, Houston's so far down right now that why would we need Fleta? We don't need him.
Wrong.
He's fine.
Wrong.
They also benched Miro for Kuki, and I think that was less of
tactical. I think that was
make
an
at
argument.
Least I can make that argument, right? And that's Miro is so ridiculously aggressive, and I've talked a lot about how Houston plays an anti-dive, and they play it better than most people right now. Even with their poor stage, it's they're losing because they don't have the ability to dive, right? Not that they don't have the ability to anti-dive. They can still do that. So when you have a really hyper-aggressive Winston player like that, like a Fraggy or like a Miro, you can definitely get some damage in on them, get them killed early, and there's a chance Miro might have been a liability in this particular matchup. But not playing Fleta is just asking Wiki to get destroyed.
Wrong.
It was unthinkable to me. And
why try to make the playoffs?
Right. Like you're facing the playoffs. It's just, and A. Smith is saying Miro's just better in every way. Like, listen, I get that argument. Personally, I would have played Miro. Like, I will adapt if Miro's getting crunched in the first match, right? If I'm like thinking about it, I might make a switch then. But I would probably just roll out my better player. I think Miro's been very good this stage. So I agree with you, A. Smith, but I'm making the argument for them because I can see it. It's there. Right. There's some logic to it.
There's a kernel, at least. There's a kernel.
But benching Fleta made no sense, and they brought Fleta in for the last map when it was down. They were down 2-1 going into Gibraltar. Houston's best match on the map on the stage. Widowmaker's very prominent there. Nobody beats Linkser on Widowmaker right now. It's just not happening. And they ended up falling, and it was a real thonker. They found a way to get rid of, like I said, they just had to go 2-0. They had to beat Houston, who was slumping. They had to beat Florida, who is on the uptick, but still
not enough.
4 wins, right? Like they're not a world beater or even a spoiler, I don't think yet. They can just scare you.
They're getting close, though.
They're getting close, but just not quite there yet. And Seoul was able to take them out, but just at the end of every stage, is this what we're going to see from Seoul? Are they just going to stop trying, or why are you messing with team synergy in playoff week? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Their team can go back to Korea a day early. I don't know.
if I played the Shanghai Dragons twice in week 5 of a stage, and I needed to go 2-0 to make it into the stage playoffs, they would get 100% my best players the entire time, unless I was up 3-0 and in the last map and the the map
the garbage time.
But you need to
I
keep
can't
your
believe
players
that hasn't happened
in the rhythm.
yet.
Yeah, teams aren't using that, but I think
using
there's
the
something
garbage
to
time.
it with the subs where they have to like announce their subs or submit them before the third match has ended.
Okay, that's kind of
for timing's sake, it is a little dumb. They need to change it, but for
logistically,
the broadcast,
that makes sense. I
Yeah,
mean, it sucks, but it makes
decision,
sense.
it's brutal, and if that's the case, I don't have firm wording on that, but if that's the case, I get why we haven't seen it, but I don't know. I still think there's times it could have come into play once or twice.
Just have him jog.
Yeah, I don't get the joke, but I'll just laugh like
jog, like have him jog up there, like instead of like piddling around and meandering and dirtling around, like have him actually put a fire under it, like literally jog,
move physically faster
yes.
to make it work. Yeah, anything you can do to make substitutions, timeouts, anything that the coaches can impact more tactical and more impactful, I'm generally in favor of. So anything they can do to help that, and garbage time is just a great opportunity to see like the players you signed, like Siegel in Dallas, like IDQD, like Grim Reality, have fan bases that have bought jerseys for your team because of those players. It would be really great to get to see them. So hopefully the league as a whole is able to find a way to make it more viable and the teams become a little more confident and willing to do it. But yeah, definitely something we want to see.
Yeah, for sure. But that's going to bring us to the end here. The TLDR of that is Gladiators and Soul. You had your shot, and you blew it! But that's going to be the end of the episode here. We got to just about our normal average, which is nice.
We do have an iTunes review.
Ooh, let's do it.
It's a 5-star entitled Can't Get Enough from Dino Overload.
Nice.
In the vast yawning gulf of time that is Sunday through Tuesday, there is one shining light that guides my... I didn't write this. I swear to God, somebody actually left this. There's one shining light that guides my way. It's the High Noon Podcast and all their spin-off shows, keeping my sanity intact as I scratch at the walls, begging for Wednesday to come. Fantastic hosts who make me as a listener feel like a close friend in the midst of their trash talk and topical discussions. Just rocket this show ahead of all competitors. Really appreciate it, Dino.
That's a good one.
We talked about the goosebumps. They're there.
I'd have goosebumps, but I have to pee so bad that I think I'm going to throw up.
Your body's shutting down? So what you're saying is you want me to delay the end of the show? You just want to
nope. Dino, thank you so much for that, and I really appreciate the iTunes reviews, guys. Remember, leave an iTunes review for this show if you haven't already, and definitely for all the spinoff shows, go over to their iTunes pages and leave an iTunes review there. For absolute sure, do that. One last call to action here. Let's get some more Twitch followers. Guys, we do record the shows live every Sunday through Tuesday. The different shows are recorded live, twitch.tv/High Noon Podcast. I'm also throwing some random during the week EU-friendly time streams in when I can. So definitely go over to twitch.tv/High Noon Podcast. Throw a follow there if you're feeling super
frisky. Just to be transparent, the list of requirements needed to get to... what's the status called? The partnership.
Partnership
with Twitch instead of affiliateship with Twitch, which we currently have. Like we're checking those boxes.
All of the boxes are checked except for one, which will be tough. But if we can get like right now, everyone that's in chat right now, just like raise your hand or something. Type it 1 in chat if you're in chat right now. We've got a good number of people right now. And a good number of people who are silly enough to actually type a 1 in chat. I've never been able to get people to do that. And joke's on you guys. Oh, crap.
You need to use emotes for it. People want to can I get a pog champ in the chat? So
you got to start with 1. You start with a 1, though. You start with a 1 and then you work your way up. I'm getting a lot of 1s here. So we're getting...
we got a 2.
We got a 2. Really.
We got a wise guy in the chat.
Yeah, or girl. But guys, the live chat is fun. And as you can see and you've heard, we're starting to mix in the Twitch chat a little bit more. I like doing it. We got some people in. I'm liking it. Let's get some more. I want to hit 1,000 followers. We're not close right now, but I'd love to get 1,000 followers on Twitch. That would be sweet. Just if you watch the show, If you listen to the show, it takes 5 seconds to go to twitch.tv/ShineNoonPodcast, hit the follow button. And then one of these nights you might be able to, all the time we get people like, hey, man, I finally got to see the live show. And I go, hey, what's up? And I say, hey, guys, in chat, because I have a button that lets me say, hey, guys, in chat. Boom, I pressed it. Twitch.tv/ShineNoonPodcast, go follow there. But that's enough of the sellout for Twitch. But you can also, if you're feeling really frisky, you can sub to us on Twitch, or if you have Twitch Prime, you can use your Twitch Prime subscription. You can also head over to patreon.com/HighNoonPodcast. You can support us there as well. But it is going to be the end of the show here, unless I'm forgetting something, Death. I don't think I am.
No, should be good.
Okay, we are good. That's going to be it, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks to all the Oh, we just got a Twitch Prime sub, and I don't have my sound off, so everyone got to hear that. You get to hear that awesome Excelsior sound go off. Thank you, Catspaw, for that. But that's going to be it, guys. Thank you for listening. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks to Catspaw for subscribing. Thanks to all the patrons. Thank you to Adam Hulk, who put together the awesome outro music that you're about to hear. But that is going to be it, guys. Remember, for Deathblow, again, and for the chat, I am the Blevins.
The rest of the High Noon staff.
The rest of the High Noon staff, I am the Blevins. And remember, guys, it's High Noon.
Got his boots and he put on his hat. He threw the coin away that same day. It's in his past and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now, God's my way. He's not good, but he sure ain't bad. He'll make amends for the sins that he has. He says, I'll change the world one bullet at a time till I find mine.
I got nothing. I seriously might pee my pants.